This video is brought to you by Brilliant. Today, outgoing President Joe Biden hits Russia with the toughest oil sanctions yet, Ukraine captures North Korean soldiers in Kursk, and Croatia's incumbent president is re-elected. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Monday the 13th of January, 2025. With just a few days left until Joe Biden steps down from the US presidency and hands the baton over to Donald Trump, the White House on Friday announced the most sweeping and aggressive sanctions yet on Russia's oil trade. It's designed to hit Moscow's energy revenues, which have been fueling its war in Ukraine for nearly 3 years now. Now, these measures target more than 200 entities and individuals, ranging from traders and officials to insurance companies, as well as hundreds of oil tankers. The sanctions also target two major Russian oil companies, Gazprom Neft and Surgutneftegas. Up until now, Western sanctions have done very little to curtail the flow of energy revenues to Moscow, and this is for a number of reasons. Firstly, a handful of European countries have been partially exempt from sanctions targeting Russian gas and oil. Meanwhile, other countries have taken advantage of loopholes in the sanctions, which prohibit direct Russian oil imports, but place no restrictions on purchases of petroleum products from non-sanctioned products that are processing or refining Russian oil. Moreover, it was also quite easy for Russia to find new oil buyers. Following the European embargo on Russian oil, Russia was able to quickly shift its exports to Asia. And finally, while the West did impose a price cap on oil, Western leaders avoided having to impose an outright ban on Russian oil due to concerns about the impact reduced supply would have on the global economy, considering that Russia is one of the largest oil producers and exporters in the world. But now, according to American analysts, US oil production is reaching record levels, meaning that the price impact of taking Russian oil off the market will be far less economically dangerous now. As such, Washington is now moving to severely limit who can legally purchase Russian oil, and if these sanctions stay in place under Trump, the measures have more chance of disrupting Russia's exports of petroleum than anything done by Western powers so far. There's more on the way, but remember to subscribe and ring the bell for more daily briefing tomorrow. Plus, if you want to support the channel like Nicolas, then consider joining the TLDR Daily Membership Program for just $1.99. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says that he's prepared to hand over two captured North Korean soldiers in exchange for the return of Ukrainian prisoners of war held in Russia. He made the offer a day after Ukraine confirmed that it had taken two North Korean soldiers prisoner during fighting in Russia's Kursk Oblast. Zelensky said there should be no doubt left in the world that the Russian army is dependent on military assistance from North Korea. He added that for those North Korean soldiers who do not wish to return, there may be other options available. In particular, those who express a desire to bring peace closer by spreading the truth about this war in Korean will be given that opportunity. Ukraine's security service said that the two North Korean soldiers are in Kyiv receiving medical care and are being questioned with assistance from South Korea's national intelligence services, as they only speak Korean. The Ukrainian security service released video and photos of the two North Korean men, one of whom was reportedly born in 2005 and the other in 1999. According to the security service, one said they'd been sent to Russia for training, not to fight. One was also in possession of a Russian military ID card, apparently issued in the name of another person, while the other soldier had no identity documents at all. In other news, over the weekend, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was inaugurated for a third 6-year term, despite international accusations of election fraud. Now, Maduro was sworn in at Venezuela's Legislative Palace, sparking protests inside Venezuela and further international sanctions. In a statement, the G7 foreign ministers said that they denounced the lack of democratic legitimacy of Maduro's inauguration, and that they reject Maduro's continued and repressive grasp at power at the expense of the Venezuelan people. For context, in July, Maduro's victory was announced by the country's National Electoral Council, before the opposition, led by Edmundo Gonzalez, then published its own dataset, showing different results. This data, which was collected by volunteers across 80% of polling stations and was corroborated by international observers and statisticians, showed that Gonzalez had in fact won 67% of the vote. In response, the US, UK, and EU have sanctioned dozens of Venezuelan officials from Maduro's administration, who they say are responsible for undermining democracy and the rule of law. On Friday, the EU added 15 more individuals to its Venezuelan sanction list, bringing the total number to 69. Meanwhile, the UK also sanctioned 15 people, including the head of Venezuela's top court, members of the security forces, and military officials. For his part, Maduro denies all claims of election fraud and says that sanctions by the US and others are part of an ongoing economic war designed to cripple Venezuela. And finally, presidential elections were held over the weekend in Croatia, which saw the incumbent president Zoran Milanovic of the left-wing Social Democrats, who is also a competitive critic of NATO, win a commanding victory in the second runoff round. Milanovic won all of the country's counties, including the city of Zagreb, and secured more than 74% of the vote, against the candidate of the ruling centre-right HDZ party, led by Prime Minister Andrej Plenković. The HDZ party has dominated Croatian politics since 1991, but at the same time has been widely accused by the opposition for being corrupt. Earlier last year, Plenković called for early parliamentary elections, also following a corruption scandal over his appointed Attorney General and the anti-government protests which followed. In a dramatic turn of events dubbed a mini coup d'etat, President Milanovic, a longtime rival of Plenković, who is also considered Croatia's most popular politician, launched a bid for the premiership in an effort to unseat Plenković. The bitterly fought election concluded with the HDZ winning just ahead of the SDP, but falling short of a majority. Now, some people believe that things have changed now, as the HDZ has been weakened by a November corruption case implicating its former health minister. This dispute brought Plenkovic's government into conflict with the European Public Prosecutor's Office, which accused Zagreb of preventing it from investigating systemic graft in the country. On top of that, the HDZ party has become even more unpopular as the country is continuing to struggle to battle its dire shortage of labor. And in November, Croatia had the highest rate of inflation in the entire Eurozone. Speaking from Milanovic's election headquarters last night, the SDP leader said that Milanovic's landslide this weekend now shows that this is the beginning of the end for Andrej Plenković. And Plenković reportedly didn't congratulate Milanovic on his win. There's a lot of difficult decisions necessary here, and making huge decisions, especially quickly, is difficult, even for world leaders. The good thing is that brilliant is where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in maths, data, programming, and AI. Their interactive classes can help build your critical thinking skills through problem solving, not memorizing. So while you're building real knowledge on specific topics, you'll also be becoming a better thinker. For instance, their Predicting with Probability course can help you better understand and assess the world around you. You can learn to wrangle massive data sets, compare distributions, and master fundamental concepts like Bayes' theorem. Now that might sound a little technical, but with their active learning, you'll learn this by answering questions like, which airline is most likely to have a delay due to weather? And how much more unruly have airline passengers gotten since the pandemic? Data skills are absolutely necessary for navigating our modern world, and Brilliant is the best way to get them. So try everything that Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days by visiting brilliant.org/TLDR, or by clicking the link in the description. And by doing so, you'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription.